Hey there. Today we're going to discuss how to set up a video recording system to monitor bird nests in the field. To get started, there are a few items that we need to get. First, we need an infrared security camera, one without white lights and Wi-Fi connectivity. Next, we need a DVR. We used one that records directly to SD cards. To connect the system, we also need video and power extension cables. We use a small monitor to view the feed from the camera. These electronics were all housed in a waterproof storage bin. A 50-watt solar panel with a charge controller connected to a 100 amp hour deep cycle battery was also used to power the system. To bring it together, we used a small power inverter with a power strip so that we had enough outlets for the plugs. All exposed connections were sealed with a coaxial seal. We also used split wire loom to help protect the video and power cable that ran to the security camera. We did use some other odds and ends, of course, such as zip ties, electrical tape, wooden stakes, and the camera does not come with a power adapter, so we had to purchase the power adapter for the camera as well. To get started, we need to drill 2 holes in the side of the storage bin. You can see where I located these holes at underneath the handle to where it's more protected from weather, so that it's more difficult for rain to get into the storage bin. And you can see that I used the drill to expand the holes a little bit larger than the size of the drill bit. Okay, so we want to set our battery to the side inside the container, and then we'll start setting up our solar panel. That way we can keep the battery charged a little bit as we set up everything else. These solar panel connectors are a little bit wide, so that's why we made those holes slightly wider than a 1/2 inch. But we don't want them too large, otherwise we can start getting insects and other critters inside the container. Here we have our 300-watt power inverter. So the way we connect the power inverter to the battery is we peel back this plastic on the sleeve of the clips, and then we put the solar panel clips over top of the inverter clips and then connect that to the battery. Here we have our power strip, which has more than enough outlets than we need. The outlets we use are kind of wide, so we needed extra space than the 2 outlets that the inverter came with. This is our power adapter for the camera. We're going to plug it in and get it ready for when we bring the camera wires through the storage bin. Next we have our mini DVR. We're going to get that, plug it in. Here you can see a coaxial adapter that came with our power and video cables. And our mini monitor that we have to view the camera feed. And this will be the last of the 3 plugs that we need to plug in. Now the security camera that we used only records video, it does not include audio. So we really only need one of these AV lines. Here we are going to connect the white ones, which is for the video. Next we're going to run in the coaxial cable and then put in that power supply through the second hole. We will connect the coaxial cable with the one that's in the DVR. And for the power supply line that goes to the camera, we'll hook that up to the adapter that we had to purchase separately. Next, let's cover coaxial sealing. This is a sticky material, and you want to make sure you cover the entire connection thoroughly. You do not need to do this for the connections inside the tub. But for the connections outside exposed to the elements, these need to be covered up really well. So make sure you cannot see any of the connections after the coax seal is placed. There are really only two places where you need a coax seal: the connections at the camera and any connections where you join two lengths of video cables, which in our case, since we use 200 feet of video cables, we have a connection right in the middle. Coax seal is also somewhat difficult to remove, so these connections are going to be somewhat more of a permanent fixture. So when you take the setup down, you'll leave these connections connected. The split loom and the video cables should both be 100 feet, which if you're using 200 feet of video cable, you'll have the connection in the middle with the coax seal, and you can use electrical tape to go over the coax seal and combine the two lengths of split loom as well. Next, there is this little plastic tool that helps to feed in power and video cables into the split loom. It's kind of tricky at first, but once you get the hang of it, it'll go a little bit faster. And it is definitely way faster than if you did not use this plastic tool. I do recommend having the split loom and the video cable laying in the ground in parallel. This way it doesn't get bunched up or knotted as you walk down the line or pull it towards you. So we use 200 feet of video cable, and so you can see the system here. I ran it down, I went around a tree or two. Of course this tree is a little too big to go around with the split loom, because you can see it's not touching the ground in all areas. But I did go around this tree to help prevent animals from dragging the camera further distance. If you or an animal tripped over the cable, it should tighten up right there rather than pull the camera out at the bird's nest. The cable should lay flat on the ground in through the vegetation. What we don't want to see is it caught sticking up above the vegetation. So here you can see the split loom is actually on top of some vegetation, and so that's a tripping hazard for not just you, but other animals. So we want to try to conceal if we can, or at least lay the cable on the ground. Here we have our video camera mounted on a stake with zip ties. You can see some holes drilled in the wooden stake. There are multiple holes drilled there so that the heights can be adjusted if need be. The connections are coax sealed right there, and also using electrical tape, we taped the connection to the stake itself to help prevent the toggle button on the security camera from being pressed against anything. Here is our solar panel setup. I mounted this on a metal T-post, but I would recommend using a more heavy-duty T-post or a pole to mount the solar panel. I did connect this with zip ties, but I would recommend using hose clamps or a U-bolt instead. Okay, let's talk about the DVR and the camera settings. So using the DVR remote, we can adjust multiple settings. But first, let's set the date and time. This clock is formatted in military time, or the 24-hour format, so make sure you're aware of that as you set the clock. I always want to reformat the SD card, and it does take a few seconds for this to complete. So here's some of our video settings, and the main one here is to have the overwrite turned off. Other than that, these are mainly the default settings. Same with these, but feel free to adjust them as you need. You can also look at the pictures or the video that have been taken from the system. And when you're done, it should start recording automatically, and you can see that right here in the bottom left. Next is the security camera settings, and you access those from the toggle switch here on the security camera that I showed you on that wooden stake a bit ago. So there's 4 different settings to view the video feed, and you need to match it up with what you have selected in the DVR. And so you just move this toggle button in 4 directions and see which one works best. In this case, it's the button, if we push it straight up, that works for the video, but in other settings it works in other positions. So you just push and hold and it'll change the video format. I know it's a little bit difficult to see on this, but here we go back to the actual video feed, pushing up. To access the video camera settings, we just have to push straight in and hold, and then we get this menu that pops up. You can adjust these settings to your likeness. We stuck with the default settings, but just make sure that the black and white video recording is turned off so that we get some daytime color images in the video. And also make sure that the infrared is turning on automatically at dusk and turning off at dawn. And once you adjust the settings to your likeness, you can close out of the settings menu and it'll go back to recording through the video stream again. Once you're done with this, the monitor can be turned off and it'll keep recording. You can actually disconnect the monitor and carry it with you to the next nest to check. Once it's all set up, we can close the lid, make sure it's secure, and then we are good to go.